Hi guys, and welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope you're well and having a fantastic day. So today tutorial, we are going to turn some scraps into beautiful fabric treasures. Just remember that quilting is not only a practical way to use up your leftover materials, but it's also very creative outlet that you can express yourself and personal style by combining different colors of patterns and textures, so you can create your unique, stunning quilt that is truly one of a kind. So let's get started and create some beautiful patchwork designs. Let's go. All right guys, so what I'm doing is that I'm using my strips to cut my fabric into the size that I want. So I'm using scraps obviously, and I'm just trimming them down so that the edges are neat and tidy and I can work with them. I'm not too bothered about the width of the strips. All right, so for example, something like this where you can see it is wide on one end, and as I gravitate towards the left hand you can see it's thinner. So what I will do is obviously I will iron them so that they cut nicely, and level it out, fold, and simply just trim it down to whatever width I can get out of it. So that's basically it really. I'm not stressing about the width of the fabric or the length of it. I'm quite happy to sew the fabric together. Right, so I think that's okay. So something like this where the end is a little bit thinner, I'm going to cut it where it starts to go or to lose its size. So when I join it to another piece of fabric, then I have the equated width of it. All right, and then any other bits I may keep or throw away. So I will keep that. That's okay. So that goes in the pile. So I'm straightening them out as I go. So if they're really wrinkly, I'll give them an iron, because I really want, when I start making the strip set, for them to really come together nicely without any issues. So if the edges are nice and straight, then I do feel that the sewing will be a lot more easier. So that's the method I'm using. So grab all of your scraps, put them on the table, and I'm using leftover strips. So whether it be from binding or whether it be from the borders, that's exactly what I'm using. Good idea is to separate your strips from pieces to squares, and then that way it's easier to pull from. At least you don't have to go searching to find the long pieces. If you separate them into a different pile, then you literally know where they are and it's easier to reach to. All right, so that's what I'm going to continue doing, and when I'm ready to sew it all together, I will come back and have a little chat with you. So I hope everyone's okay. I'm just dragging it up. I like to drag it all up, and when I say drag it up, so I like to bring all of the edges to as close as possible. All right, because the salvage is there and I can always cut that off. So I like to maximize the use of the scrap. So as much as I can get it close, then I can literally shave the edge off so it's nice and straight. So that's what I do. As even though it's scrap, I still want to get the best out of it. It's still good use of fabric, so that's what I do to avoid wasting it. I literally hate wastage. So all right, you definitely need a sharp blade. As you can see, there's a lot of cutting. So something like this, I will cut as the width as it is. I will cut into different sizes of strips, so whatever size you like, as long as you can maximize the use of it. Perfect. Alright, so went ahead now and made a strip set. Now we're going to be using my 60 degrees diamond ruler. Okay, if you have one of those, brilliant, get it out. If not, I would upload a template within the pattern so that you can use, or you can cut using your long ruler, whatever else is the easiest. Okay, however, as I said, so just to repeat, my strip set is a combination of different sizes of strips. It doesn't have to be the same size. I am using scraps. You can use fat quarters if you want to cut them into strips. The only objective here is that you wouldn't get quite a lot of your diamond cut as you move along your strip. The main objective for the strip is so that you can get a multitude of cuts as you move along the strip. The other advantage of using strips or scraps of strips in this case is that you can use quite a lot in terms of the width, because we need to have enough strips that the ruler sits beyond, what I should say, the fabric sits beyond the ruler. We don't want it to be sticking out like so. I'm just going to put it on that. We don't want it to be above the strips. Basically, we want the size of the ruler to be contained within the strip, so you should have an excess there and an excess there, even if it's a 1/4 inch, perfect. All right, so I'm going to use my 60 degree ruler. Now, what I want you to bear in mind when you're doing this is that this doesn't have to be perfect. So even if you cut on an angle, it's fine as well. It really is a scrappy one. So I'm going to use my long ruler and put it on top of my 60 degree ruler. Now I'm going to put it close to the end as possible. I don't want to waste the fabric. I mean, you are not going to use the edge anyway, but I'm going to bring it as close as I possibly can. All right. My ruler is a little bit slidey. I think I need some sellotape or something so that keeps it in track, so it doesn't keep moving. So I'm going to use my ruler here and I'm going to put it right on top of my 60 degree diamond cut ruler, and I'm rubbing it against just to ensure that I am not over it. So, you know, I'm not just feeling the top of this ruler, I am just literally touching both rulers, and I can tell that it's nice and flat there. Again, you need a very sharp blade for this, so ensure that your blade is sharp. So hold it down nice and firm. I'm going to back cut and move forward. That one is no good. And then I'm going to do the other side. Same thing, just making sure that it's lined up. Now, as I said, you could use a template for this. Nevertheless, you will have to ensure that you pin your template down so that it doesn't move, okay? Now, I can do another objective for this. So I can either do a mark on the fabric and mark it along there with my heat erasable pen, okay? Or I move the top ruler, put it against it like so, and cut. All right, and then I'm going to remove that, put this back, line it up again with that tip so it's all nicely lined, and do the same thing. It is a lot of, you know, maneuvering and making sure that you have the right cut. This is why I think the template will be fine. So that's our diamond cut there. So let me put that back on there so you can see it's a perfect cut. All right, so that's the objective. This extra bit you can keep or throw away or use as scraps. Again, is entirely down to you. So I am now going to continue with this template again, and it doesn't really matter where you line it up from, but I'm going to start from the edge and I'm going to make my next cut. So let me just give you a little bit of a heads up. So for example, this now is waist. If you wanted, you can line these two up again, stitch them together, put it back on, and cut, because ideally the fabric itself is bigger than the ruler. So you can stitch this again and cut again. All right. So really, you're not really wasting anything, which is what I think I would do, just to, you know, cut out saving wastage. So I'm going to line it back up on the end. So the next idea, what I was about to say to you, is that if you want, rather than keep moving the 60-degree template, what you could do is just simply use your heat erasable pen and draw it on. Okay, and then go back into your ruler, line it up on the drawn line, and cut. And then on this side you do the same thing. Line it up and cut. And you have your diamond cut. And let me just make sure I got that off properly. You've got your diamond cut, or you have your extra bit again that you can put, that you can double up, as I said before. So I'm going to put those extra bits there because I want to demonstrate that to you clearly. So I'm going to put that on the side. All the diamond cuts we're going to leave there. So I'm just going to measure them just to make sure the cuts are accurate, and I would like you to do that also. So I can see no overhang, everything is lovely, and it's the same piece of cut. So I'm going to continue doing that, lining it all up. So the longer the strip, the better. You can even move it up, you know, closer, down, just as long as you have got enough at the top and at the bottom for cutting your fabric. So again, I'm just going to use, I like the ruler technique because I like having to, let me use my shorter ruler. So I'm using this size ruler, so that way I don't have to work with the longer ruler. Line it up to the edge. Move that out the way. Where's my rotary? And cut. Come back to this side now, put it back. I'm not going to even remove this one yet. And just turn it, making sure everything is lined up properly. Cut. Yep. Put it back. It is a lot of ooming and ahhing, definitely, but you know, you're not doing too much piecing anyway, so it's not like you're overworking yourself. We are doing a diamond cut, so we would expect to do a lot of changes, but that's what it looks like. So make as many strip sets as you'd like. Obviously the pattern will tell you, and then we will get started on actually piecing them together. All right, so it's day 2. I think today is the 27th or 26th. Let's have a look. I think it's the 27th. 26. Right, it's the 26th. So I started the 25th. So I found some squares in my scrap box. And so I thought I can possibly use these. So I think they were from my Squares to Stars quilt. So they're 8 inches squared. So I'm going to use this with the ruler. So where is the ruler? So I also found this one here. It's white and the purple, so it's a half square triangle, but I didn't go ahead and use it. So I obviously stored it as scraps. So I was thinking, and this is just to show you how to use up your ideal scraps if you've got like half square triangles and you're going to make this quilt. Then I thought, why, rather than unpick it, I could just use it as is. So I can just line it up there, and it's exactly from the point. So it'll give me a half square triangle diamond, which I thought looks really nice. But I'm not sure yet. I may use it, I may not. No rush. I may just simply unpick it and excuse me, and you know, use the white fabric for another project, and then use the purple. So with these ones, what I'm going to do is, as I just said, to just line them up, and I have more than enough room to cut around it. So if you've got that, so rather than make your strip set, which is what I've been doing, as you know, rather than make a strip set and cut, if you've got pieces, you can also do that. Now, for my background color, I'm going to be using cream, but initially I'd intended when I was thinking about the quilt was to do cream, but for some reason I cut white, so I only cut 2, so I'm going to leave that. This now becomes scrap. I hate wasting my white cotton because white cotton is very expensive. I just hate wasting it. So it's very likely, because I could go with white, but I always go with white, isn't it? I think white is such an easy color to use when you have so many prints of colors, right? But I think I will go with cream. I've had this cream fabric for some time now, and I think it will be nice to use this up and just finish it off. So I think I will do that. So I've got an extra bit here as well. I think this is from a border, so it's just an extra bit. So I will use this up. So I am also going to add these to the diamond cut. So I'm going to layer it twice or 3 times, however it is, and place it on there and do the template cut. So I'm using the diamond template as is, to be honest. All right. And these are going to be my background color, setting against my print color or my stripped colors. I'm not sure how much I need at the moment, but obviously I will tell you once I get nearer to that. I will do a count as how many I've actually made and how big the quilt is going to be. It is going to have some borders on it, so I'm thinking of having some cream borders as well, and then a final border. I may possibly add any leftover strips that I can cut and make like a piano border with it. So that's the concept so far. So again, it's not planned, it's just something I thought about, just to use up the scraps yet again and yet make it creative. All right, so what I'm going to do now is simply move that out of the way. I'm going to line these up, and I think I should be able to. It doesn't need ironing, so I think they're all the same size, and I'm just going to fit it on there and simply cut it out. So I'm going to do that. So I have 4, 5, and that will play in nicely, I think, with the colors. There is a lot of color tones, purple tones I should say, in the strips. So that's what I'm going to do. I think it will look really nicely. I'm looking forward to seeing the end result of this quilt, to be honest. I really am looking for. I think it will look really nice. I do think it will look really nice, and it will give off this really sort of creative, you know, hard working, long time spending, you know, to actually make this quilt. I think it's going to give up those kind of vibes, and I love making quilt like that, you know, tells the person who's looking at, oh, they worked really hard on this, but you know, it wasn't that. It's just clever cutting and placement. So I'm going to finish this off, and I think once I've done with all of my cutting of the fabrics, I will then show you the layout and how it needs to be sewn together, because there is a little bit of trickery as well when it comes to that. So I'm going to... Alright, so let's talk about cutting the background fabric. Now, if you have quite a lot of yardage for your background and you need to cut your background fabric, the easiest way of doing it, rather than taking your ruler and just randomly placing it on the fabric to get that diamond cut and essentially wasting the fabric, the most sensible thing to do is to measure the width of your diamond. All right, so your diamond ruler will measure I'm going to put it right to the edge. So I'm going to put this on top there. I'm going to measure the top from there to the bottom, and it's telling me it is 5.5. All right, so it's a 5.5 inch. So I'm just simply going to cut now a 5.5 inch strip, which is what I have done here. And all I need to do basically is to now put my diamond ruler right to the top there. So as you can see, I have already started. So I'm going to lay it right to the end. Now let's say, for example, I didn't start. Let me turn it on this end here, just for demonstration purposes. So I didn't start, and so I have a straight end. So I'm just going to move it along so that my edge is not sticking out on the mat, but it's close enough. And it measures nice, and it fits onto that strip equatedly on both sides, which it should, because you have already measured the strip to the width of the diamond cut. And then all you would need to do basically is to now cut. So this now becomes waist, and then you will just cut that extra bit. All right, so let's turn it back because I don't want to cut that other side. I've already started. So I'm just going to turn it in the way that I had it already. So it's like so. I'm going to position it into that position there. And I could simply take my ruler, put it into the next, and really I'm just budding it right next to that one, making sure not to move the first. By all means, if you move it, just realign it. Yeah, it's no big deal. Okay, just realign it. But just making sure that when you put it down, it is exactly where you want it to be, and it's not misshapen in any way, shape or form. All right, move it out of the way and just simply cut. And you have your diamond cut quite easily. All right, so I'm cutting in two, so I have two here. So the strip is folded in two. So I would say fold your strip first before you cut it. Fold the fabric first before you cut it into the strip. All right, if you want to turn the other way, it will then eliminate having to use this ruler because I am right-handed, isn't it? So then I would line up the edge of the diamond cut to the left, and it will reduce the process of having to put that in and then moving that out of the way, because it's on the right hand side and I am right-handed, and it would work the other way around if you're a lefty. And all you need to do is just cut without having to maneuver the rulers. So whatever style works for you, brilliant. And again, just move it in and you can cut it. Now what I wanted to show you here was another idea for the strips. Now remember we made these here. Okay, remember we made these here. I'm just going to show you another way you can do the diamond cut without laying out the strips as I have done here. I mean, I have used an abundance of colors because once you have cut it into the diamond cut, you're going to see those layering of colors, aren't you? You're going to see all of those colors together, which is what I was aiming for. However, if you didn't want to cut all of those, you could just cut it into two. And let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is what I'm referring to. So this here is just two strips together. I made this ages ago, a very long time ago, and it's just literally two strips together. So you're looking at two jelly rolls or two strips of fabric, ranging from 2.5 inch. So the normal 2.5 inch, hence the reason why I referenced jelly rolls. If you were to do your strips smaller, as exampled here, then you would need to ensure that it's beyond the width of your diamond cut. The point I am getting to is that if you don't want to do this multitude of strips together, you can simply just do 2 and make your strip set as normal. So sewing it together, all right? And then you can just simply line it up as you would normally and cut to just, in essence, when you do your diamond cut, you will just have just 2 sets of fabrics in comparison to having the layered look with the fabrics. All right, just another idea, is entirely down to you. You could even do 3 rather than 2 strips. So do 3 strips, and then you will then align that diamond cut or template in the middle, so you still will get a little bit of the third fabric peeping out on either side, if that makes sense to you. So just another way of doing it using the diamond cut. All right, so I hope that helps. As I said, I would include a paper template for you, and so that you can make the quilt if you want to without having to go and buy the ruler, to be honest. So that's it there. All right, so I will continue with this, as she said once before, and then we will move on to the layout. Just wanted to give you as much objectives as possible so that you are clear in what you're doing, and you know, you can then make a decision that suits your style of learning. As I always say, we all learn at different pace, we all learn at different points, so whatever suits you, and as long as we have different reference style, then we can be informed. All right, you can see I've got a bit of a bow here where I didn't straighten my strip, and what's essentially happening is once I lay that on there, I have a slight lift of losing some of my fabric on the end there. So to be honest, I'm not going to worry with that, because I don't want to, when I'm fitting the diamonds together, to be able to fudge it, i.e. having to force this to straighten up, because then I'm going to get like a bow or a ripple in my diamond layout when I sew it together. So I'm not going to worry with that. It's just a piece of fabric. I can use it for scraps. All right, so let's definitely move on to the layout now.
Just target the smaller stores, because the bigger stores are bringing in you more profit and revenue and sales. It shouldn't be like that, and that's just one of the reasons why I left the platform, because of those biases that you witness on a daily basis. And those are just some of the reasons why I left Etsy. I have a ton more that I can get into, but those were the main ones. I have a ton of stories that I can tell you about my time on Etsy, and like advice that I could give to other sellers who want to sell on Etsy, but those are just some of the reasons why I didn't like Etsy as a platform. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or like tell me about your time on Etsy, and I'll respond to you, or maybe even make a video about it. If you want me to make a part 2 or another reason why I don't like Etsy as a platform and why I took myself off the marketplace, then I will. Just let me know in the comments, and I will do that as soon as possible. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video.
That was it.
I'll see you on the next one.
This is the story of how Pipedrive can accelerate your business growth by automating admin when everyday tasks start slowing you down, so you can reach your destination quicker. Pipedrive, driving business growth.
But as time went on, he began to notice something troubling. Gloria seemed to always ask for money, whether it was for the family or to support her siblings' education. There was always a reason for Gloria to need money. Stephen tried to suggest that Gloria find a job or learn a skill so she could support herself. but she always brushed off his suggestions. "I don't have the strength to walk," she would say. In the town of Oka, there lived a man named Stephen. He was a kind man, always ready to help others. But despite his good heart, Stephen had a sadness within him. He was in his late 30s and still single. Stephen ran his own business and he was doing well for himself. But when it came to love, things didn't seem to work out. He had been hurt many times by women who seemed to be only interested in his money. One day, Stephen's ex-girlfriend told him hurtful words. She said he wasn't her type of man, that he was erotic and local. Those words cut deep, leaving Stephen feeling sad and unworthy. After that painful breakup, Stephen made a decision. He decided he wouldn't help any woman anymore. He stopped having girlfriends altogether. His family noticed his sadness and worried that something might be wrong with him. One day, Stephen's family called for a meeting.
Alright, so this is my layout. I do have a slight problem though. I have decided, which is not a problem, I have decided to put the 3 dark fabric in the middle. However, I have run out of my cream fabric here. So, one has to put our thinking caps on and decide what I need to do. I have 2 options. I still need for the end there in this gap here to put the cream fabric because I've already added my cream on this side here. So I am missing on the end here. So let's say, for example, I'm missing in that gap where my hand is. So I'm also missing on the side here, as you can see, because I have on this side. So I'm probably missing about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say probably 10 in total. I have two objects, i.e. go and buy more cream fabric, which I don't have no intentions to. Or I can remove these from here on the side and put them at the bottom here, which will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still short. Right? Still short. Remove it from the ends altogether and use a different color. Not sure what I'll do yet. But that is what it looks, that is the layout. Looks good. I'm happy with it. I am unsure about this. And that is the dark fabric I'm referring to. I think it spoils the look. So I think I will just remove it and keep it to the scrappy nature of which it's supposed to be. Alright, so I will have my thinking cap on. If you have an idea what you think I should have done, let me know in the description box down below. I really want you to give me your feedback on this. But as I said, gotta put my thinking cap on and then see what I need to do. Either that, start all over, remove the cream and do something else, but that is going to be a lot of work to recut all the fabrics and place them back out again, which means it will delay me from making the quilt. All right, so yeah, so I'm gonna have to come up with an idea of what to do with this.